Before I get into the numbers of the cost-benefit analysis, I think it's very important to understand where and how these numbers are generated. This, what is called the board report or the cost-benefit analysis, is generated by Inform Analytics, which is a software package purchased by Columbia County IDA, and at the suggestion, under the development of the Center for Governmental Research, and under the advisement of the state controller, and that advice was that each IDA in the state do a cost-benefit analysis as part of their consideration of whether or not to provide tax benefits to a project. I want to be clear that the IDA, this is not the only thing the IDA considers when reviewing a project. They consider public input, public comment, comments from taxing jurisdictions to the affected taxing jurisdictions. They do consider the cost-benefit analysis, type of business, and then ultimately what this is all about is jobs. And jobs for people and residents of the county and the surrounding area to be able to support their families, to be able to buy houses, and participate in the economy of Columbia County and the region. So, considering that, Inform Analytics, you basically input the numbers, and the numbers aren't exactly what Jim just said because of quirks in the software. But basically what what this project would generate is a 10-to-1, a $10 benefit to every dollar of incentive, which is very substantial. The total employment, which is direct, indirect, and induced. Induced is the jobs that would be created by households who have employment at the Ginsberg facility. That total employment is projected at 442. The income tax revenue from all those jobs is projected to be $6.3 million. Property tax revenue in terms of the pilot over the 12 years that Jim had talked about, roughly $800 to $1 million. And he went over the incentives in terms of the numbers for the mortgage recording tax and the pilot and the sales tax, so I won't do that again. As I said, there are many factors that the IDA considers, and of course, jobs is number one. Not only projected job creation, but of course, the 270 people that Ginsberg already employs and their families. To put this in perspective, each year the state controller, and this is very important, the state controller issues a report on the performance of IDAs. Just to give you some type of perspective, and this is a report on the state controller's website. In terms of expenses per job gain, Columbia County in the last 13 projects is at $181 in expenses per job gain. The median for the state, excluding New York City, different animal, is $191, and the average is $6,400. So Columbia County IDA, in terms of its performance, this demonstrates their seriousness in terms of what they consider before they actually approve tax benefits and incentives for a project.
Thank you, Ken. Now I'd like to introduce Steve Riley, the counsel for Ginsberg Schools.
Good evening. My name is Steve Riley. I'm an attorney with White and Austin in Hanover, New York, here tonight on behalf of the applicant and the Ginsberg Institution. I'm sure most people are here very anxious to hear the lawyer going on a little longer, but I think point to, I will simply introduce David Ginsberg for comments on the faculty.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Bruce, Ken, board. Good evening, everyone, and I am amazed at how many people are out here tonight interested in the Ginsberg project moving forward. Thank you for all of your interest. And for giving me the opportunity to share my views with you tonight. If I'm redundant, please bear with me. Some of the things I'm about to say you probably have already heard, but I will get through it quickly. First, let me start by thanking all of you for working with the company and my family to help us bring this important project to fruition. It is important to the business that we expand now so we can stay competitive in our industry. It is important to our 270 employees who we value for their expertise and loyalty to the business. It is important to my family who has been in business in this county for more than 100 years now, and we want to stay right here. And we like to think it is important to the county to have committed family business that wants to invest $30 million here, add jobs, and continue to be an economic engine for growth in our community. Even as we have engaged in these discussions with you going back to last year, our competitive landscape is changing dramatically. The two biggest companies in our industry, Cisco and US Foods, have announced they intend to merge, creating a much bigger and more powerful enterprise. And just a few weeks ago, Driscoll Foods, a competitor of ours in northern New Jersey, received $18.5 million in tax credits to move 9 miles down the road and build a new warehouse the size of what we're doing to expand our facilities and to grow our business. With all of this activity happening literally as we speak, we are in no position to stand still. To be able to grow and stay competitive in our industry, we need to expand, period. We do not have the luxury of tinkering around the edges of what we have or making do with our existing footprint. In our industry, scale is critical. We must expand, and we must do it now, or risk our business and the economic benefits to our community being marginalized. Everything we have done to build our business to where it is today will be at risk if we do not expand. Obtaining the financial assistance we are requesting from the IDA is a critical factor in our ability to expand now. As we have said all along, our priority is to expand right here in Columbia County. This has been home to my family for more than a century. It is the home of 60% of our employees and their families, and it is Nancy's and my home. We want to stay here. It was in that spirit that we've engaged in good faith negotiations that have brought us to these final stages. We believe that the mutual agreement we reached is good for Ginsberg's, good for our employees and their families, and good for Columbia County. For our part, we have committed an initial investment of $12 million of our own money to build an additional 65,000 square feet of refrigerated storage. We expect that this initial expansion will add 21 jobs to our local workforce over and above our current employment. Over time, we expect to invest another $21 million to increase our company's overall expansion to more than 300,000 square feet. Overall, we expect that our $30 million investment will add a total of 50 new permanent jobs here. And let's not minimize that fact that being able to expand here helps preserve the 270 existing jobs in our current workforce. These are great jobs with an average wage of $52,000 a year. As you know, the new and existing Ginsberg jobs tells only part of the story. The IDA's own independent consultant, Inform Analytics, has estimated that in just the first phase of the project alone, another 167 jobs will be created during construction and through the increased economic activity that will be generated from our growth here in the county. Inform Analytics has also estimated that the tax revenue alone that is generated because of this expanded facility will be more than $11 million. This does not count additional benefits to our community resulting from further spending due to continued and increased employment and increased cost of operation. We believe those figures speak very strongly to the fact that any benefits provided to Ginsberg will produce an excellent return to all parties. And as Inform Analytics has demonstrated, the county will receive a very strong financial return on these investments, along with security for hundreds of existing jobs and the creation of many more new jobs. Now, I know that there are some of you who have disagreed with certain aspects of these recommended benefits. And in all honesty, while it might be difficult for me to hear some of your comments made about me or our business, I respect everyone's opinion and their right to express it. You're not in business for 100 years without having an ear for what your friends and neighbors are saying, or not saying for that matter. And in fairness, in all my years in business, I don't think I've ever come across a negotiation or a public matter where there weren't opposing views. But at the end of the day, I do know this. We are a family business, and our family business has been right here for more than a century. The fact is, we need these benefits to stay competitive right here and now in Columbia County. We consider ourselves part of the fabric of this community, and we feel an obligation to be an employer of choice and a good corporate citizen. And we take pride in the level of support that the company and its employees have contributed in so many ways over the years. We are doing our best to continue to grow the company and remain strong in the face of competition and the continuing uncertain economic conditions. And we are extremely grateful that you have worked with us to ensure that our growth will occur right here. We believe that this is the kind of public-private partnership that is a model for how communities can work with businesses to create long-term sustainable growth. Again, thank you very much for your willingness to work with us and for your efforts in reaching our agreement. We look forward to getting started on the project and serving this community for many decades to come.
Thank you, David. Now's the time for public comment. We'd like you to stand, state your name, and be as concise as possible. We have a lot of people in the room, and I'm sure a lot of people wish to make comments, and we certainly want to get to everyone. But if you can be concise, speak to the issues, speak to the finance issues that we talked about earlier, it'd be appreciated. So just come up with a show of hands, and I'll just kind of work my way around the room. So, who wants to speak? Miss?
Do you want me to speak from here or speak from there?
You can speak from there.
You can use a microphone, I would appreciate it. Okay, good evening, and thank you, Columbia County IDA, for your support and consideration of Ginsberg expansion project. My name is Suzanne Koval, and I'm the Chief Operations Officer at Ginsberg Foods. I grew up and played on the property presently known as the County Commerce Park. I also stand before you representing the Koval family, another family business that has been in Columbia County for multiple generations and has done business with Ginsberg Foods. Personally, I've been employed at Ginsberg's for over 30 years. 4 years ago, when we began our expansion plans, we considered many opportunities. The IDA is well aware of other counties as well as other states. David shared with you recently an initiative in the state of New Jersey to pursue successful established businesses that have expansion plans. The quote-unquote corporate welfare incentive offered to Ginsberg's Foods were even greater from outside counties and agencies. They recognize the total impact that a project of this size would have on their communities. The Ginsberg family, however, remains committed to Columbia County, and it's my hope and our employees' hope that we don't regret this decision. Expanding our business with this proposed project is imperative to Ginsberg's future growth and success. As David mentioned, these are very challenging times. We are growing and we need this new facility. Without this building expansion project, there potentially will be a negative impact on our business, on our employees, on our customers, which will eventually have a trickle-down effect into the county. Please consider moving forward with your total support of this investment into the community and the county, and not be influenced by the small minority who have not lived here or worked here for over 100 years. Thank you.
My name is Michael Singer. I live in Austerlitz,
just a taxpayer, and I want to know why a company that I think has a annual revenue of over $100 million, am I right about that? No? What is your total revenue?
We don't have to do
Why don't we?
that.
Well, just a minute, just a minute.
We can't know what your revenue
Let
is?
me finish. You want to give these people a loan. Now, you're not giving them a loan, you're guaranteeing a loan. And you're doing it at an interest rate which is below what almost every other borrower is paid for loans from banks or whatever, whoever loans the money that you help guarantee. We have a right to know if a company is struggling and they need money to survive or to grow because they're struggling. That's one thing. If we have a company that is making an enormous amount of money and wants to grow, I don't understand why the taxpayers have to pay for that.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Columbia County Industrial Development Agency. My name is Neil Howard. I am the superintendent of the Conic Hill School District. It is my responsibility to represent the children, the Board of Education, and the taxpayers of the district. I would like to reiterate the position of the district in opposition to this payment in lieu of taxes, which is really no taxes for 6 years and significantly decreased or reduced taxes for at least another 5 years on the property within the school district's boundaries, as outlined in my letter to the agency dated October 3rd, 2014. I have reviewed the proposed deviation from the uniform tax exemption policy, and I have 5 points for you to consider. Number 1, the terms of the proposed pilot appear to be unprecedented in that a company may be granted a multi-year 100% real property tax exemption. Number 2, I am not aware of any audited financial statements submitted by the applicant to justify the need for or fairness of the real property tax exemptions proposed. Number 3, the proposed pilot has no clawback provisions as such. If the company is sold or is unable to fulfill the economic development obligations as outlined in the pilot, the taxes be reinstated retroactively. Number 4, the IDA does not have a policy that includes taxing entities such as school districts at the table when pilots are developed and discussed. And number 5, if this pilot is approved as proposed, the school tax liability for this corporation will be redistributed to the taxpayers of Ghent and Clonford. There is no information suggesting the IDA has negotiated the terms of the proposed pilot with the interest of the school district's taxpayers in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Columbia County IDA, for holding this public hearing and allowing an opportunity for supportive comment to be presented on behalf of Ginsberg Foods. My name is Edwin Jacob. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Ginsberg Foods, a position I have held for over 13 years. Without question, I have personal interest in seeing Ginsberg Foods grow and expand. No one benefits if their employer stagnates, closes its doors, or moves out of the area, especially the communities in which they operate. A thriving Ginsberg Foods means continued investment in the community. We do this by supporting and patronizing businesses within our community such as fuel suppliers, internet providers, local restaurants, contractors, service providers, and financial institutions. This support comes not only from Ginsberg, the company, but from its employees as well. Employees who are in this community 5 days a week, 52 weeks out of the year. Ginsberg as a company has expended over $1.4 million over the first 9 months of 2014 with many of the above-mentioned businesses. How much more money has been contributed by its employees for businesses they patronize individually each day of the week? What becomes of those expenditures by the businesses? Payments of real estate tax, sales tax, state income tax, and employee wages, as well as payments to all of the same business providers mentioned earlier. If Ginsberg is forced to stop growing and expanding, what residual impact will be felt by the business community? Is $1.4 million so easily replaced here in Columbia County? Please support our freezer expansion initiative.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Bill Quinn. I work with Rider Transportation, and Ginsberg is certainly a valued partner. If you distribute food, you need trucks. And the growth that Ginsberg has experienced in recent years is on the radar corporately for a 4,500 company. The impact to continue that level of support led us to close a shop in Berkshire County and open a shop in Columbia County. At the time, we employed 3 people. To stay pace with primarily Ginsberg Foods, is now 7. We buy fuel, we buy parts, we use local services or subcontractors. But we need to stay pace and we will do whatever we need to do because it's a valued partnership. And the impact of our employees and our operating in this area will continue. And wherever they go, we will go. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening, and thank you, members of the IDA, for allowing me to speak. My name is John Rucky. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources for Ginsberg Foods. I'm a lifelong Columbia County resident and an employee of Ginsberg for nearly 2 years at this point in time. I wanted to take a moment to briefly highlight the contributions our employees make to this community and the value of having the company, the size of Ginsberg, remain in Columbia County. As you've heard, we're 270 employees strong and certainly looking to grow, and the expansion will certainly help us grow. We are 60% Columbia County residents. We have an average tenure of 15 years. So we are not providing jobs, we're providing career opportunities for Columbia County residents, members of the contiguous counties, and those employees that we hire in our large service footprint, which is nearly 250 miles in radius from the city of Hudson. We, as an employee base, employ people that have GEDs and high school diplomas, all the way through master's degrees. Okay, we are designed in our rates and our wages to be competitive in the county, to be competitive in our industry, to draw people from contiguous counties to Columbia County, and again, hire the best talent we can in our service footprint. On average, a person with a high school education working in our warehouse starts at $13.75 an hour. With tenure, they can earn $18 or more an hour. High school education or GED. Drivers with a high school education and a Class A CDL license, nearly $22 an hour to start. Okay? Sales representatives towards the professional end of our workforce, nearly $75,000 a year average annual salary. This is what Ginsberg provides to this community and beyond. With the disposable income I've just mentioned, those 60% of our employees are able to remain in the county, buy houses, taxpayers, school taxpayers, property taxpayers. That cannot be understated. With the career opportunities that we provide and the ability to remain residents of this county, our employees become volunteer firefighters and EMTs. Some of our employees are members of this very firehouse that we sit in tonight. They're scout leaders, they're coaches in your youth leagues, soccer, baseball, softball, you name it, we're involved. We're also members of local boards and organizations such as the Workforce Investment Board. So we take an active role in our community. But regardless of where our employees live, we are also very active in charitable and civic events. We've done things like Walk for Life, Rally for the Cure. We're involved in a Hudson Reed's mentorship program in the Hudson City School District. We provided backpacks and school supplies to those kids in John L. Edwards in the Hudson City School District. Habitat for Humanity, food drives, United Way, sponsorships of the Columbia County Fair, and most recently, the Chili Fest that was held in the city of Hudson. Ginsberg's employees and Ginsberg as a company are present everywhere you look in the county and beyond. So when we think about making this decision, and we think about Ginsberg's and their application, the considerations we're asking for, we're not a faceless company. Many of the faces that make up Ginsberg are in the audience tonight. So please take that into consideration. We appreciate your support and consideration of the project.
Good evening, my name is Stephanie Sussman, I'm a resident of Cusano.